ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
We're ready to go for your Monday, March 4th. It is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're going to open up that text line for you in just a few minutes at 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. We had a busy weekend of sports. Where were you at the most this weekend? Were you at baseball? Did you do softball? Did you try to do a sort of a mix of the two? Of course, Friday night we had basketball at the Cam Henderson Center. And obviously the big one, the Jack opened. Jack Cook Field. I don't know what nickname we're going to hang on that just yet. I hear Jack is 50-50 from some, but wow, what an experience. Baseball in Huntington, that was fantastic. And I know the crowds were pretty good throughout the weekend. Opening day obviously was the biggest crowd, but the crowds were solid throughout the weekend. And we're going to have to live with this facility for a while. I'm sure there'll be more amenities that'll be put in. You got to grow some more grass, obviously, and there'll be things that be put in as the stadium and Marshall's just living with it continues. But it was a great experience. It was fantastic. I think they thought this one through. I was very happy with the end result. And honestly, looks like it's going to be a great place for many years to come to watch baseball, and maybe you can see it, maybe a state tournament here one day. You can actually bid on that now. That's the great thing about this. You can bid on a state tournament. You can have other events here. And softball's got the lights. Marshall playing under the lights at the Dot. That was something that I thought was going to be a long time coming, and there you go. You have it finally, starting to see some things are just falling into place, tangible things that are just needed. You got to have some of these things just to stay. You got to stay with the rest of the pack. You got to be on par with just everybody else. And Marshall, for the longest time, did not have a baseball park. So Marshall was never on par. Now Marshall's got a baseball park and got everything that they possibly could want, and you can just build from there. So that was a great experience. What'd you think of the place? Now that you've had a few days to just watch some games, what'd you think? What'd you like about the Jack the most? I don't know if there's anything I dislike. So I don't know if that's a valid question, and I don't think I'm going to ask it. You can answer it, but I'm not going to ask it because there was something about just being there, you know, the newness of it, and then after that, it's like, okay, this is pretty good. Nothing really to complain about here. I mean, if you say parking, I'm going to tell you parking is a problem everywhere, especially in Huntington. If you say parking, that's always going to be a problem. So let's scratch that one from the list right now. What else we got? No, it was fun. And I can't wait to see what the development looks like around the ballpark, just to fill it out. Because right now, you've got just a view of emptiness and potential. And I'd rather see that emptiness and potential than what used to be there. So there's opportunity just to make this a real nice district, not just with baseball and softball, but other uses as well. Good times. Genuinely good times. And, of course, opening up the ballpark, first time up for Marshall, first pitch, home run. That's the most Marshall thing that could happen, especially with the ballpark. So I was impressed with everything. I thought it went well. Hopefully it gets better from here. Softball playing under the lights. I mean, baseball even won the series against Manhattan, 2-1. It was a great time. Sounded good on the radio. You had ESPN Plus, and of course, radio is the baseball platform. Radio and baseball. That's just the natural partnership. It sounded great. We'll have the game coming up on Saturday. We're going to do all the weekend games, the Saturday games, and then we're going to have special games. Like the WVU game we're going to do. We're going to have the Virginia Tech game. So there'll be special games that we do on top of our Saturday showcase. And we've got a lot coming up this week. So I'll get into all of that with you. Women's basketball in the tournament, the men in the tournament. We'll outline the bracket here from the head coaches. I had a chance earlier today to hang out with Kim Caldwell for a few minutes and hear from Dan D'Antoni. So we'll give you an opportunity to hear some of that. And we've got some basketball news to get into today. The awards are out. Marshall basketball on the men's side, nothing. Not a specialty award, not a first team, second team, or third team selection. So Marshall got shut out there. Quoting Caddyshack, you'll get nothing and you like it. That seemed to be the attitude of the Sun Belt for Marshall men's basketball. You'll get nothing and you'll like it. Marshall women's basketball. That's the big story today. Third team, Brianna Campbell. I'm good with that. She's solid. First team, Abby Beeman. I'm good with that. Perfect. Player of the year, Abby Beeman. Also good with that. Perfect. Coach of the year, Kim Caldwell. Good with that. Totally on board with that. Marshall deserved everything it got today. Of course, now it's got to go down. The team has got to go down to Pensacola and go get that tournament. And we'll hear from Kim in just a few minutes about the tournament, about Abby Beeman, about how this thing is set up. We'll hear from Dan as well. Different timbre today. I'm listening to Dan and listening to Kim, just different tone. And I'm not saying one's necessarily better than the other. It's different tone on how these two coaches approach the tournament and how they're going about this. So we'll hear from them. We'll hear from you. And again, that number 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255, our text line. I'm going to fire that up here in just a moment and start getting those for you. But it was a good weekend overall. Sure, the men lost on Friday. The women won. And then baseball went 2-1 over the weekend against the first ever opponent at Jack Cook Field in Manhattan. Now, there's a time change, actually a day change for the game against Bellarmine. That got moved to Wednesday. Now, I know it wasn't a weather-related issue. I think it was a logistics issue. Just asking a couple people, hey, why'd they change that game? And so the game gets moved to Wednesday, and you look at the weather. Tuesday was going to be beautiful, perfect baseball weather, and then Wednesday is kind of looking miserable here. So I know it wasn't a weather change. But we've got nighttime baseball, and that's another thing. I don't think I've hit on that enough. Nighttime baseball and softball now. You can play multiple games. You can play more games. You can have things like tournaments. You can do all of that now, and the softball team went 3-2 at the dot over the weekend, while the men went 2-1 over the weekend. You can play nighttime games now, and that opens it up more. You have a facility. You have a facility with lights. You have a facility in softball with lights. You have the ability to do more things now. So good stuff happening over the weekend. It was a great weekend for Herd Athletics. And I think so far I've heard pretty much positives across the board with everything. There was a lot going on, a lot of activity, a lot of softball going on, a lot of people going back and forth. There was definitely a lot of foot traffic. And imagine if that area develops a little bit more, maybe mixed usage, you can do more there. I think it's going to grow and help to have that baseball park and the improvements of softball anchoring that portion of Huntington proper. So good stuff. I was really excited. I don't have a bad thing to say. Always go in skeptical, and then you see it for the first time, and you're thinking, okay, this is real. And I had those conversations with people. I didn't think I'd ever see this. A lot of people would say that. Never thought this would happen. Didn't believe I would be around to see this open up. And the only thing I do just really hate the fact that Jack Cook didn't get to see it open. That's the only thing that I hate about this whole process, that he wasn't able to see it. The field that bears his name, he wasn't able to see it after being promised so long, so many times. Oh, we're going to get you a field. We're going to build you a baseball park. We're going to get you there. It's coming. And just to see this thing dropped and fumbled and punted so many times, and just now to see the reality of it, there's a baseball park that was built in a quick timeline, and it has everything this team needs, it could ever want. And for the first time ever, Marshall University, I can say proudly, is a Division I baseball team. Because before that, I felt like, yeah, they're a Division I team in name only. They played everywhere, playing in high schools, playing at university heights. That was an adventure. Just playing everywhere. Now they're playing Division I baseball in a Division I level baseball park. Good stuff. All right. Let's get your text in this hour. We'll do that 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll hear from you. We'll hear from Kim Caldwell first. Winners go first, as she won a lot of stuff today, or her team did. Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, first team for Abby Beeman, third team for Brianna Campbell. We'll hear from Kim first. Then we'll turn our attention to the men. Dan D'Antoni and his squad getting set to go to the tournament and see what happens. We'll find out what they had to say today on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hey, Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want, from NCAA basketball, NBA, NHL, and MLB. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the Tri-State. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
You know, there's something about a truck you can count on and that SUV that's been on every family vacation for a decade. TikTok Tire and Uniroyal know your truck or family car is only as reliable as the tires underneath it. And that's why Uniroyal made the Laredo AT Tire and HT Tire to be the tires you trust. You know, like you trust your truck, your SUV, or TikTok Tire. Uniroyal Laredo AT and Laredo HT. See where 130 years of value takes you. For more information, stop into TikTok Tire, 2102 3rd Avenue, Huntington, right across from the stadium, or call 304-525-7831.
In the tapestry of life, we encounter stories of legacy and accomplishment, but sometimes also abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation. Adult Protective Services understands the importance of safeguarding the well-being of our loved ones, our neighbors, and our community. To report neglect or abuse, call 800-352-6513. Sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources, Bureau for Social Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project was supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $383,493, with 75% funded by ACL, HHS, and 25% in the amount of $85,236 funded by state government sources. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
At Progressive, we know money can't buy happiness, but money did buy your boat, where you find peace fishing, unlike at home with 3 teenage daughters. Because fish never argue about who stole whose crop top, or get mad the other fish used up all the hot water. No, they just swim around, never embarrassed to be seen with you in public. So save money by bundling your boat or RV insurance with home or auto from Progressive. And buy more happiness, or something close to it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
(304-396-TALK) is our text line. 304-396-8255. That's the number to be a part of today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. From our text line, texter says, Paul, the baseball park, it's fantastic. It's a good impression so far. Everybody seemed happy. Not a complaint. I haven't heard a complaint just yet. And I don't intend to hear any complaints. I think it's going to be a great facility. They've still got work to do, obviously. There's some things I'm sure they're going to be adding. And this isn't, we're done. Here it is. That was a problem with football so many years ago. You got the facility, and it was fantastic. You opened it up. Great place to watch a football game. And then, hey, here we are. We're done. We've got this thing. And instead of over the next 20-some years, the lifespan of this facility, you didn't do much with it. You didn't upgrade when you could. You didn't modernize when you could. And so I don't think that's going to be a problem with baseball. I think there will be attention to detail when it comes to making sure that the facility, you keep it fresh, you keep it functional, you keep it working, you keep it modern, and you build upon what you have. Now you've got the foundation. So good stuff from the baseball stadium. Hopefully, basketball is building a good foundation as far as the women are concerned. Kim Caldwell and her squad getting set for the tournament. Now, here's what the bracket looks like. It's easier for the women than it is for the men. And it's not a guarantee that Marshall's going to win. But it's a lot easier if you're Kim Caldwell and her squad. You've got a shorter path to the championship. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or not. Marshall, by virtue of winning the outright regular season championship, Marshall's the 1 seed. And so the Herd will play on Friday. That'll be March 8th. That's going to be a 12:30 game. We'll have it for you. We'll go on the air at 12:15 on Thursday. Check that, Friday. On Friday, we go on the air at 12:15 p.m. And if the Herd wins, and Marshall's got to await the winner of number 8 Georgia State or number 9 App State. If Marshall beats one of those two teams in the quarterfinal game, Marshall will be in the semifinal game, potentially against either Old Dominion, potentially against ULM, or coming from the first round, either Georgia Southern or Texas State. So there's a potential there for those teams. And if Marshall would get to the championship, that's going to be on Monday. And we'll go on the air. It's going to be a 2 o'clock tip. So we'll go on the air, I think it's going to be 1:45. And you could possibly face off against James Madison or Troy there. You could even see maybe Coastal or South Alabama. Southern Miss is the 6th seed. Louisiana, Arkansas State, that's the 7-10 game. My money is on Troy or James Madison. And Marshall, my money is on Marshall and App State in that first round, that first quarterfinal. And then I'm going to say Old Dominion. It might go a little chalk here. It's fun to try to pick these things out. I actually would like to see Marshall get James Madison again. You split with them. That's the team you split with. You lost the home game with them. And I know it's hard to beat a team 3 times, and I think Marshall's got a chance to do that with a lot of these teams. But I just would like to see Marshall take on James Madison. I didn't bring that up today. I didn't ask Coach who she wants to see. I think she's just, hey, bring them on. We got everybody. Let's go. I like this format. And she's got a lot of time to get ready because, again, the Herd's playing on Friday, so she doesn't have to worry about playing a game on Tuesday or playing a game on Wednesday. Instead, the Herd will be playing on Friday, and so that puts the Herd in a good situation. What do you do with that time? How do you use that extra time now? Do you take it easy? Do you install new things? Rest? Recovery? Is that what this extra time gives you? No. Coach, she says the extra time, they plan on going hard.
Yeah, we are grinding. We went hard yesterday. We're going to go hard again today versus our practice boys, and then we'll start to taper down. But we are still trying to get better, and so a lot of coaches will look at this time as rest and recovery, and we kind of look at it as, hey, let's try to turn it up a notch. And we did that with our break before. Right after when everyone with Max Sunbelt Challenge, and we're going to do that with this break now. So they're going to be ready to play an opponent by the time we get there.
They're probably going to be fed up and looking at each other by the time they get there as well. They want to take it out on somebody. So going hard, turning it up, not saving anything. We're going all in. Let's do it. Let's just create another level of this thing. And that's why she's the coach of the year, Kim Caldwell. She's been successful so far. She's been successful everywhere she has been. Of course, it's been Glenville State and Marshall, but it doesn't matter. She's been successful. And so it's tournament time. She's familiar with this. She's been great in the regular season. That's been her dominion. Tournaments, her regular season conference championship record is better than her tournament championship record. She admitted that. They go better long hauls, but she's had success in the tournament. She's won a national championship, so she's got tournament success. So she knows what it's about. This team, it's now 0-0, regular season. You won the championship, great. But now you got to start over.
Yeah, if anything, it's harder. And we talked about that. We had a team meeting yesterday morning, and we talked about that. It's 0-0, and we got to win 3 in a row, and it's going to be harder for us, and we have a target on our back, and we've made some people mad along the way. And it's hard to beat a team 3 times, and just because we deserve it or we work really hard doesn't mean we're going to win it. And I think our style of play is definitely an effort-based system. Well, when we're going to play senior-led teams, effort kind of goes out the window. Everyone's playing hard. We're not playing in front of an empty arena on a Thursday night. We're playing for people's careers to live on. So the tournament is always really, really hard to do. And so we talked about that yesterday, making sure that we're putting the work in now to be ready for the end of next week.
So they're going hard, ready to go. She understands. She gets it. Look, this ends careers. For some people, they lose this game, they're done. This is it. They do not advance past this. That's over. And so she's put that in this mindset. That's what we're playing for now. Something else, and I was interested to get her take on this. Marshall plays such a challenging style. You have to really think about it. You have to prepare. I mean, it's not invincible, but you have to play really hard and really smart against that system that Marshall plays. And so was it advantageous for the draw the way it is that you don't have to worry about the opponent? You got to find out who the opponent is, and then the next game you got to find out who the opponent is. And so they've got to find out who the opponent is. And you've got the advantage here. Other than Georgia State or App State, and you'll know. They play on Wednesday, you'll play on Friday, so you'll know. But then on Sunday and then Monday, you got to wait. You have some time to prepare, but it's not that much of a gap. At the same time, it's a pretty quick turnaround. Coach likes playing back-to-back. She likes this style. It's advantageous for her.
Yeah, I love it. I wish we could play every game back-to-back because we don't need a lot of prep time. We've seen what we're going to see, right? We've seen zone, we've seen man, we've seen people play fast, we've seen people play slow. And I think our style of play requires a little bit more prep. And so it's fine by me to go back-to-back-to-back.
She likes it. Tournament's coming up. We've got those games for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Now, what's this team need to do to win? First of all, distractions need to be eliminated. You're going to Pensacola. And Coach highlighted this today when she was asked this question. Hey, what's this team got to do now? You got to go down. You got to go to this tournament. What's it going to take to win? And she said that Abby Beeman said it best as far as what this team needs to do. I'll give you a hint. Maybe not hang out at the beach.
Abby Beeman nailed it. She said, we talked about what we needed to do to win. And she said, we don't need to get distracted. And I think I've never been down there, but I'm imagining there's a beach right there. Our hotel's on the beach. There's outlets. There's restaurants. There's other teams playing. And it would be very easy to get distracted. But it is a business trip, and we're going down there for one reason only. And so, yeah, I definitely thought that was a great thing for her to say. And it's a long trip, and you're doing a practice at a gym that's not where you're going to play. And so it's hard. Again, I think this team is used to hard. We've spent weeks on the road, so I don't know that they'll even bat an eye.
Nope, I don't think they will either. They know what hard is when it comes to winning and competing, not being at home. And so the tournament should be easy for them at this point. The way the schedule was especially, the tournament should be easy. They spent a lot of time on the road, and they won the regular season title. Now, that's a great accomplishment. But you've got to put that aside now because the tournament's going to determine if you make it to the NCAA tournament. That's what everyone talks about. Coach D'Antoni talks about it. It's tournament time. You got to win the tournament. And Coach, while she thinks it's important, she knows it's important to win the tournament. She hasn't minimized it, or she hasn't put it to, well, the regular season doesn't matter. We got to win the tournament, or we got to win the regular season, and we'll see what happens in the tournament. It's not that. Her philosophy is the importance of the regular season should matter because it means that you were the best team over a longer period. And she talked about why she believes that.
I think that we talked yesterday, and I said congratulations, and what they did was the hardest. It's not the most fun. It's not the most on social media. It's not the most hyped, but it is the most rewarding. It does mean you were the best for the longest time. Night in and night out, when we were sick, when we didn't feel good, when there was a crowd, when there wasn't a crowd, when we were on the road, we were the best night in and night out. And that's, if I had to pick one as a coach, I would pick regular season. As a player, if I had to pick one, I would pick the tournament. And so it's tough in some regards there, but celebrate what we did and then try to get another one.
I like all the trophies. Chris Grassi likes all the trophies. So let's get the same philosophy. If you've listened to Coach Grassi over the last few years, he wants them all. He's greedy. He wants all the trophies. But he gets mad. If he doesn't win the regular season trophy, he's mad. He's upset about it. I mean, he's not kicking things mad. But in the back of his head, it's like, okay, I didn't get that one. I'm going to get that one. I'm going to get this next one, definitely. But I didn't get that one. And he's mad because he wants all the trophies. And Coach Caldwell wants all the trophies. But the regular season championship, it means a lot because you were the best team over the course of the season. We'll talk a little bit more about the Marshall women's team when we continue. I want to hear a little bit of what she said about Abby Beeman today. We'll hear what Dan Antoni had to say, and we'll hear from you. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Now is the time to add on a new bathroom or remodel your old one with the latest up-to-date bathroom fixtures from Mutual Wholesalers, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Come in today to Mutual Wholesalers' beautiful showroom and see how your new bathroom will look. Check out Acre by Max. Have a new bathroom this year. Mutual Wholesalers, locally owned and operated, 710 5th Street, Huntington. Call 304-525-9118.
You've cut back on everything and you're still coming up short at the end of the month. Give your local State Farm agent a call for a free discount double check. They'll show you how something as simple as combining car and home policies can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Being there to help keep more of your money is why your local State Farm agent is here. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
In Huntington, John Garton, 304-525-1116. In Barboursville, Marcia Slater, 304-736-6100. And in Cerrito, Aaron Billups, 304-453-4600.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union has been serving the Huntington community for 70 years and is proud to announce our newest location in Lavalette is now open. Wayne County residents, you now have access to a modern banking facility, a full range of services, advanced technology, expert financial advice, and even a smart coffee kiosk cafe. Learn more about Metro Community Federal Credit Union online at metrocommunityfcu.com or visit us today on 5th Street Road.
Equal housing lender, member NCUA.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, and baked lasagna. Giovanni's has the best sandwiches around, from the stromboli, Italian sub, calzones, and their signature Big Red. All dinners will be served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's Pizza, fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Hey y'all, my name is Tiara, and a little thing that I love about the Chick-fil-A Spicy Chicken Biscuit is that it has the perfect amount of spice to jumpstart my day. Whoever thought of it, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Robert, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A Spicy Chicken Biscuit is the biscuit. It reminds me of my grandma's homemade biscuit. It's always buttery and savory. Then you add the spices, instant classic.
Order the Spicy Chicken Biscuit on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real Chick-fil-A guests paid for their testimonials.
Cut down on heating bills with a central boiler outdoor wood furnace. Heat multiple buildings, pools, and hot tubs, all with one furnace. And get unlimited hot water. Come to Altizer Farm Supply and see the central boiler outdoor wood furnaces at 585 Centerpoint Road in Thurman, Ohio, 740-245-5193.
The more vulnerable among us can fall victim to abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. When navigating your way out, it doesn't have to feel like a maze. Assistance is available from Adult Protective Services. To report neglect or abuse, call 800-352-6513. Sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Bureau for Social Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This project was supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL. ACL, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $383,493, with 75% funded by ACL HHS and 25% in the amount of $85,236 funded by state government sources. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but as you grew up, things changed. Teaching just didn't seem like the best option anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Interesting and innovative things are happening in teaching today, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Monday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We'll catch back up with Marshall head coach Kim Caldwell in just a moment. Also, we'll hear from Dan D'Antoni as the Marshall today, Marshall women, picking up some awards from the league, including Coach of the Year for Kim Caldwell, Player of the Year for Abby Beeman, first team selection for Abby Beeman, and a third team selection for Brianna Campbell. So we'll hear from Coach in just a couple of minutes about Abby, and we'll hear from Dan D'Antoni as well. I want to get back to our text line. We are taking your text, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And been asking you about your experiences at the ballpark. Jack Cook Field opening up. Great weekend. Thundering Herd win the series 2-1 against Manhattan. So that goes down in the record books. You open up the series season at home, successful. Not everybody's.
There's nothing scheduled at 401 11th Street, Unit 200, Huntington today.
Remind me to put the laptop on mute, as apparently my Siri on my laptop is wanting to talk to us right now. Let's get this back on 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in and says, Paul, I purchased season baseball tickets in Marshall's new ballpark, and this park is really nice, and I was happy with it, but myself and several fans around me were disappointed on the small scoreboard. The numbers were so small they were hard to read. Also, I sit on the second row behind the visitor dugout, and the gate beside the dugout is so tall it obstructs my and other people's view of the batter and home plate. If I would have known this before, I would have selected a different seat. I don't understand why they made this gate so tall. That's a good question. Now, I haven't had the luxury of sitting in all the seats and checking out all the sight lines. I sat in the box upstairs, and it was a different view for me than you. And I don't know. I don't know why they went with that size. That's a good question. I don't know why they went with that size with the scoreboard. I know they bought the scoreboards together. So the one at softball is the same one at soccer, which is the same one at baseball. So I don't know if that's something that's worth an upgrade in the future. You got the scoreboard up now, so maybe they look at it and they live with it for a while and think, okay, we need something a little bit bigger for the scoreboard. I mean, that's important. Baseball is a sport of stats. It's a baseball tradition to keep score. People take their scorecards with them to this day, and they keep scoring. So the scoreboard, that's important. I think that's valid. That's a fair criticism. As far as sight lines are concerned, I don't know. I don't know how bad it was for you. So it sounds like you missed a lot of the action because of that. So maybe that's something down the line. I'm hoping that we live with this ballpark for a while, and then if there's something that needs to be ironed out, that can be ironed out. And I think all feedback is valid right now. If there's something you didn't like about the stadium, let me know. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I mean, that's important. Absolutely, it's important. You go to the baseball game, you want to actually see the baseball game. I've seen those accounts before where people sometimes they've bought them on purpose just to show you how bad it is. There are seats and stadiums that are obstructed, and you're thinking, how can they sell this seat? It is obstructed, and you've got the worst view in the building. And so I hate to hear that the gate was obstructing your view. So maybe That's something in a future correction, tweak. Maybe if enough people complain about it, they'll do something. I don't know. The scoreboard, though, I think we're going to have to live with that one for a while. I don't know if they're going to put a bigger one out anytime soon because that just went up. Or maybe they can take more of the video real estate and devote it to the actual score and maybe alternate between the video packages and the video items and the score on the board. That's just my thought. Or maybe they can put a second one in. Who knows? I would think we're going to see that one for a while. I don't know how did it look at softball? I saw it, but it didn't really. And I'm sure it's a lot better for softball because you're closer to it. So other than the scoreboard and maybe an obstruction, is there anything else that maybe you'd like to see them tweak a little bit to make the experience better? And again, we're only 3 games in. So I want to be fair. We're 3 games in. Maybe there's some things that, just not ready yet. It didn't work out. And they can do something a little bit better for you. I don't know. Text line 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I mentioned earlier, hung out with Coach Caldwell earlier. Abby Beeman named Player of the Year in the Sun Belt. You remember that week where she wasn't Player of the Week and I got mad about it? I can't get mad today. Player of the Year in the league. She's been a standout all year long for this Thundering Herd, and I asked Coach to talk a little bit more about Abby and what she's meant to this team.
Yeah, Abby, especially as of late, Abby has been just a beast. You see her just put people in the right spots and call her own plays and giving us suggestions. I mean, her sense of urgency is at an all-time high. And so she's been such a great player for us. And she's in the gym every day. And she watches film and she goes to treatment and she just does all of the things that you want a successful player to do and you want your players to do and you want your leaders and your captains to do. And so you talk about it as a coach wanting to win for a player. I want her to get everything she wants and more. I want her to be able to cut down another net and be able to have that moment because she's put the work in.
Coach also had some things to say about the success of this team, and one of those things that Coach edited herself. I'll let you listen to this. Coach edited herself. She was asked if she was surprised about the success, and we had the presser earlier before the announcements were made for Player of the Year, and Coach had a list of things that she wanted to achieve. And so when she was asked about if she was surprised about the success of the team and where they're at now, she had a blunt answer. It was sometimes yes and sometimes no.
I think at the beginning of the year, before we played a game, I would say, no, I'm not surprised. And then November hit and I was questioning a lot of things. And that's as honest as I could be, that I wasn't ready, that this was a bad choice. I mean, as down as I could possibly be in November. And now, obviously, we're back to where we wanted to be. But we did a goal list and we wanted to be, I mean, our goal, I wish I would have brought it in here. We wanted to have over 2,000 people at least 3 of our home games. We got that. We wanted to be regular season champions. We got that. We wanted to average 84 points a game. We got that. I mean, there was a lot of things that we picked. 3-point shooting percentage, 34%. We got that. Player of the Year, we got that. Or Player of the Weeks, we got that. We got a lot of stuff where we just checked every box. And it's been impressive to do that. And so proud of them on that end. So long answer to your question. Originally, yes, that's why I'm here. I thought we could do it. But then the bumps hit.
Player of the Year, Player of the Week. Nice save, Coach. Nice save. Abby Beeman, Player of the Year in the Sun Belt. Back to our text line. Texter says, Paul, about the scoreboard, they could possibly make the font bigger so you could see the runs better. See, I saw it with the meshes in front of where we're sitting. And so the mesh is going to obstruct it a little bit depending on where you're sitting. Maybe the font change. That's a good point. Maybe change the font on that a little bit. I would like to see a bigger scoreboard. Okay, if I'm going to nitpick, and that probably would be the one thing that I would say, hey, can we get a bigger scoreboard for the baseball park? Down the line, maybe the next upgrade, can we do that? Can we get a bigger scoreboard? The fact that there's a scoreboard up probably right now is the best thing that we can hope for. And the fact that the ballpark was able to open on time is the best thing we could have hoped for. Maybe the scoreboard, if that's it, if the scoreboard and maybe some sight lines that need to be improved If that's it, I think we're good. But that's a good point. Maybe they could change the font a little bit, play around with the scoreboard, make sure the scoreboard is more visible for the fans, because that stuff's important. People like to see that stuff and like to have that information and keep score and keep track of the game. It's one of those games where you follow along. You follow along as much as you possibly can because it's something that is just inherent with baseball. You keep score, you keep stats, you track that kind of stuff. It's the best stat game possible. We can go back 100 years or so and look at a box score from a baseball game, and we know exactly what happened because of the way baseball has always kept its score. So that's important to a lot of people. More coming up, including Dan D'Antoni, when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Where are we heading?
We're going to Reds today.
Oh no, are they fixing Mom's car?
No.
Did the tow truck pick her up?
Nope.
But you said we were going to Reds.
We're going to Red's Truck Center. At Red's Truck Center, they work on big trucks and RVs and have a big showroom full of parts and accessories. More than 40 product lines in the parts department.
So Reds is more than tow trucks and fixing cars?
Yes, dear. We buy all of our truck parts and RV parts at Red's Truck Center, just off US 35 in Bidwell, Ohio, across from Love's. Stop in and see us.
Working Man Store in Huntington. Check out the biggest inventory of scrubs in West Virginia, featuring brands such as Healing Hands, Dickies, Cherokee, and Med Couture at the best price. Working Man Store has one of the largest selections of big and tall shirts, jackets, and jeans in the area. Working Man Store is the king of blue jeans with Levi's, Dickies, Carhartt, Lee, and Wranglers in sizes up to 72. And Working Man Store has the best selection of men's work boots and casual shoes anywhere at the best price. Working Man Store, open every day at 140 5th Avenue, Huntington.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. If you're a sports fan, we have what you want. From NCAA basketball, NBA, NHL, and MLB. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials we have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check us out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Get the best quality Dutch Boy paints for your next project at Menards. Save time with a fresh coat in one coat. Dutch Boys Forever Interior Paint and Primer offers powerhouse protection with its stain-blocking, odor-reducing technologies. And with Dutch Boy's easy-opening, smooth-pouring container, transforming your home has never been easier. Save big money on Dutch Boy paints and head into Menards to get your paint project started today.
Save big money at Menards.
Stalwart Insurance is the name for insurance in the Tri-State. They are committed to delivering tailored benefit solutions with thoughtful, strategic planning with valuable professional services. Stop by or call Stalwart Insurance for your homeowner's insurance needs. Stalwart Insurance is located right beside Kenny Queen Hardware on Route 10 in Barbersville. Call Stalwart Insurance anytime at 304-552-3883. That's 304-552-3883. Or visit them online at stalwartinsurance.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're getting set for the tournament coming up this week. The Herd in action. The women, they've got a couple of days before they play. The men will play on that second day of men's action. We'll have all those games right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Dan D'Antoni, had a chance to speak with him as well as other members of the media, talking to him earlier today. And Dan started off just talking about the fact that it has been a tough season for the Thundering Herd.
Well, it was a tough season. Let's start with that, because it was, and there's no ducking it or doing anything else. Certainly, we wanted to see the L's become W's. So now we start with the good news. Good news, highest academic average we've ever had here. 2, the kids, by getting on the networks and Zoom calls and visiting schools, took the run with the herd from 200 some to over 2,000. We're going to lose Marco and Gorin, who were the best cheerleaders soccer's ever had. They've mixed well in the community. They've done well. They're still together in the locker room, and they're still playing hard for Marshall. And we sold the place out the last game. That's pretty good with the record we have. So all that are kudos to him. Now, we got to change the L's to W's, and that we started working on that. Good thing about it is reset 0-0 from here on in. We got to win 4 ball games.
Do you think the Herd can win 4 ball games? That's the big question. Can Marshall win 4 ball games? It's not impossible. Teams have done it all the time. Teams have come from lower seeds and won the tournament. So it's possible. Anything can happen. But do you feel optimistic that Marshall has it ready, has it set, and can go with the idea that you got to go out, you got to win 4 games? And Dan's philosophy is a little bit different than other coaches. Some players also have a different idea how they want to attack this. Sometimes you're the target. If you're Marshall women's basketball, right now you're the target. You're the hunted. If you're the Marshall men's basketball team, you're not the hunted, but you do get to take on the role of the hunter. And sometimes people prefer to be the one hunting instead of the one that's hunted. You don't get complacent. That idea was thrown at Dan today. Hey, do you like the idea? Players have talked about it. Hey, we're going in there. We're not the top seed, so we're going to be the team that's hunting for the championship. Dan's not big on that philosophy.
Well, we hope. That's I'm not big into those ideas. The way I coach and who I am as a player and as a coach is I'm going to give you my very best shot every game. Doesn't matter what happens. I don't need outside motivation. I don't have to have anything. I found a way to give you my best shot. So I never looked outside myself to find a way to play harder or play better or have a reason. I'm just not that way. For me, I play hard for the team I support, which is Marshall, and for my teammates, and I do that every game. Doesn't matter. Don't need anything. Don't need encouragement. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be there. So we're going to go into that tournament, obviously. Maybe they'll take us not for granted. I wouldn't count on it. But we've got to play good basketball, and we got to play unselfish basketball and good basketball and have a chance to win. If you have a chance to win, we're all going to celebrate after 4 games. If not, we're going to celebrate the season and all the positive that they did do, and then reload and get ready for next year, see if we can't get it better.
Dan D'Antoni, not big on the idea of being hunter or the hunted. Just go out there and play some basketball, and we'll see what happens. And he's not doing anything different. You've got the advantage of seeing Georgia State. That's the team that just beat you. You've got the advantage of seeing them, right? So you have an idea of what your first opponent looks like. You just met them. Dan, not his philosophy. He's just going to take them 1 game at a time.
I go right back to where I am. It's 1 game at a time. It doesn't matter. I go back to my brother in high school, and they beat Pineville 35 points 1 game, 42 the next, and got beat in the tournament by 2. Number 1 team in the state, and they just literally destroyed Pineville 2 games in a row. They go, it's on the home court of Pineville, and they lose by 2. So, you don't know. That's what makes it fun, too. As a fan, that's what makes it fun. You get a chance to get out there and root your tail off, and I'm going to try to coach my tail off, and the players are going to play their tail off, and we're going to see what happens, and we're going to live with it. But one thing we're not going to do is come unglued. We're going to stay together and be a Marshall team.
That is Dan D'Antoni. We'll have more from him tomorrow as we get set for Marshall basketball this week. couple of you have sent me pictures of the gate, the one that you're talking about, as far as the obstructed line view of home plate. I can see what you're talking about a lot more, and maybe that's a good question here in the future to talk about things that maybe need to be tweaked. I'll have, hopefully, sometime in the future, I don't know if I'll have him this week, Ryan Crisp, who's usually really good to answer questions like that, or someone else from Marshall, that we can talk about this. I think after 3 games, there's probably some lessons learned from the ballpark. Scoreboard, maybe a different font. Maybe you can retool the software package to make it a little bit more visible further away. Maybe you can do something with a couple of obstructed view lines. I hope that this is a work in progress, and I think it is. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Until then, have a great night, everyone.
Retransmitting in glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.